Most podcasts have a standard intro, and this is ours.
Enjoy.
Now we begin.
Welcome to the party, pal. This is the T.A.N.G.E.N.T.L.E.M.E.N podcast. The T.A.N.G.E.N.T.ing podcast about four guys who enjoyed talking with each other so much they thought they'd share those conversations with the world. So strap in, hold on tight, and get ready for some of the most intense conversation about Christmas traditions you've ever experienced. The stories are real, the jokes are bad, and the friendships are forever.
Welcome back.
Welcome back.
And tonight we are talking about Christmas and Christmas traditions. And my name is Josh, and I'll be kind of hosting, moderating, prompting, and staying out of the way of this conversation.
I wish you wouldn't.
So let's kind of go around the circle. So I'm Josh.
I'm Pete.
I'm Joshua.
I was going to go around the circle and go to Joshua like you did to me before. Anyway, I'm Doug. Hi.
All right. So let's toss out the question right away with silence is golden.
This is compelling podcast.
What is your favorite Christmas carol?
Silent? No. Silent? No. It's not.
As
I
in
was
the
just going
song?
with the silent theme.
Song, yes.
Or is like a rendition of the play or book? A Christmas
yeah,
Carol.
not Christmas
Oh, way to bring in something new. I like that.
Yeah.
With a tangent.
What
Yeah.
is your favorite rendition of A Christmas Carol?
Scrooged.
Scrooge.
I'm sorry for all
Bill
those
Murray.
who
Yeah, that's a beauty. Yeah.
who don't like that particular version, but I just love it.
Yeah. Have you watched that with the kids?
No,
I wouldn't recommend it.
I wouldn't.
No. I watched that last year. I borrowed it from the library to see if that was appropriate for the not even close. Not even close. Albeit an interesting thing happened. So do you remember the solid gold dancers that are in that?
Oh, yeah.
So they're kind of lampooning that hyper dancy sexualization of Christmas.
Yeah.
Well, what happened on NBC with their live Wizard of Oz, The Wiz?
Yeah.
But they had nothing but solid gold dancers in these
No way.
uber long, awkward, way out of left field dance productions. And I'm way off the Christmas topic already.
Watch a live TV show?
I did. We watched The Wiz.
Did you really?
Yeah, the girls watched it upstairs. I came in just prior to one of these protracted dance numbers, and I'm like, they did this in Scrooged.
I was
This is
actually
stupid.
kind of thinking the same thing.
Interesting.
But I thought maybe I was the
only.
only one. Like it felt like while watching The Wiz, I'm like, this is like Scrooged.
Yeah.
This is the exact plot of Scrooged, putting on one of these types of productions.
That's exactly right. Yeah. Big holiday, overblown holiday production that didn't go all that well. And it was.
I enjoyed most of The Wiz, but it was weird.
Well, truth be told, it was a huge step up in production quality from their prior two attempts with Sound of Music and.
I never saw
Peter
those.
Pan, was it?
Yeah, no, I didn't see either of
they were-
those.
Painful. So, but let's not speak of this.
Okay.
Okay.
So,
but I love
A
Scrooge.
Christmas Carol.
What's your favorite,
Favorite
Christmas
version of
Carol?
A Christmas Carol.
I am really partial to the George C. Scott version,
Nice
the
answer,
TV
sir.
movie that came out. Albeit, I just watched for the first time the Patrick Stewart version, and you Star Trekkies would appreciate that. He was outstanding. If you haven't seen it, as Scrooge, he gives George C. Scott a real run for his money. I'm going to stop just short of saying he might have done better, but he's worth watching. He's very,
I'm all
very
right with
good.
that.
Yeah.
George C. Scott is not my favorite.
No, he's not. Okay.
It is not.
All right.
I'm an Albert Finney guy.
Oh, sure.
Albert Finney,
Yeah.
back in the days of big Hollywood musicals. And it technically wasn't Hollywood, it was an English production. But, when they came out with like Oliver, that big musical movie, Albert Finney was Ebenezer Scrooge, and his performance is incredible. The music is haunting and amazing, and I'm a musical guy, so that's what I grew up with. Absolutely, watching that every year.
Is that available on DVD?
I have it on Blu-ray.
1995 Blu-ray. Okay, you have to stop over at the house.
Yeah, absolutely.
Could bring some eggnog.
Absolutely.
Oh, good. And you, sir?
I actually was debating it not too long ago with my wife, and I came to this conclusion. I decided that the George C. Scott version is the one that I consider like the definitive, like
The gold standard.
this is the gold standard.
Yeah.
But if you put me in front of a TV and handed me all the DVDs of all the versions of the movie that exist, I would definitely put in Muppet Christmas Carol.
Yeah, I totally knew that was going to be your answer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's what we watch with the kids every year. I think the Albert Finney one's a little too scary for them.
Well, and it still manages to be about one of the best adaptions, even with all the Muppet goofy jokes added to it. It still manages to be.
I think what
pretty
really
true.
makes, I mean, Michael Caine is great.
Yeah.
But that they invented new Muppets for all the ghosts was so great.
Right.
The Christmas present is an amazing Christmas present. He's so good. He's so lovable. He's so endearing. His song is what I start singing before I actually started singing Christmas carols around the house in the middle of summer. And I'll just start. It's in the singing of the street corner choir. It's going home and getting warm by the fire.
So
it's
good.
true wherever you find love. It feels like Christmas. And you can't see me, podcast listeners, but I'm actually doing the
He's
body
got the hand motions
gestures.
down, yes. And he's got the
Convincing.
beard as well. He's got the curly red beard. It's a thing of beauty just to
love
watch
it.
this.
Yeah.
Feels like a little bit of Christmas here right now.
I do. I feel that.
Well,
Right here, Doug.
we're surrounded by poinsettias.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although it's not
And
snowing.
Christmas
Don't eat
trees.
them. The Ghost of Christmas Past as well. That kind of haunting
The
thing.
child.
That, she looked like she was underwater. She was.
She was.
Was she? Is that how they
Yeah,
did
that's how
that?
they did that.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Nicely done.
Yeah, well, thank you.
That
I
helped.
reverse engineered that myself in my own time.
I mean, having them as new Muppets helped keep the story pure. Because if it would have been like,
The hecklers or something.
if it would have been Statler or Waldorf, it would be like,
Which
which
was.
actually they were. Yeah.
Well, Marley.
Marley. But
Bob and what? Bob Marley.
But it did work.
Yeah.
Bob and Jacob
Robert
Marley.
and Jacob Marley.
but if they, it would have been Gonzo, which wouldn't have worked for the story. But just for instance, if it would have been Gonzo, you would have been like, well, that's just Gonzo.
Yeah.
Right.
So Gonzo did awesome as, quote, Charles Dickens.
Yeah.
Quote.
Yeah.
Which is, I'm not a huge Rizzo the Rat fan, but when he proves that he's Dickens to him by narrating what goes on in the house and then the light comes on and Rizzo just has the beat and turns to him and says, hoity-toity, Mr. Godlike Smarty Pants. That is a fantastic line. Just the one thing that saved that character for me, Rizzo.
Yeah,
If you can't tell, I kind of like that version too.
Yeah. We have to
I
get
think we
that
can
one
all
back.
agree on that version. We're all
That
feeling
is,
pretty good about
that's
that.
very
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
But this will segue nicely into just Christmas traditions because A Christmas Carol at the Guthrie has been a Christmas tradition in my family for 30 years.
Have you gone this year yet?
Nope, not this year. We go on the 19th, I think it is.
Oh, wonderful.
Saturday. So I'm excited. We go every year. We review it. We talk to, they've hired in actors for Scrooge, and they've had years where it's just the company that does it, and they've had quite a few iterations from zero music to a full musical to way too much music and really corny stuff happening, and so it's been a blast.
So they
to
change it up.
Watch it.
They change it up enough every year to make it fresh and new. And
They change it. They do minor changes every year, but when they hit a major change and it is good, you can tell because it'll stay that way for 8 to 10 years with just like minor changes. And we love it, but it's at the point where my family takes up, well, actually this year we're over 2 whole rows and my dad buys all the seats. I mean, it's
Nice.
it's more than his mortgage payment to pay for this thing to take the family. It's a huge deal, but we love it. And we've talked to him about stopping and he just, no, this is what we do.
Your tradition.
I love it. So what about you guys? What's a Christmas tradition that sticks out?
you got one? I got one.
Go for it.
Something that we've been doing, and I'm going to encourage you, especially since you're going to have a little one soon. And well, actually, your guys might be appropriate age too. At Bachman's, it's a flower shop on Lyndale and South Minneapolis. It's a huge floral and outdoor design center. But they set up a stage every year, and they have a little Christmas play. It's only about 20 minutes long, but they run it about 3 times a day over the weekend. And it is just the most charming, delightful thing. It's got a little sing-along at the end for the kids, and it's got Albert the Elf and Santa Claus. And Santa is just the most soft-spoken, gentle Santa that you ever come across. Just a kind-hearted, gentle-bearded guy.
Wow.
And it's funny, and they have a magic trick every time, and so the kids are way engaged, the adults are way engaged, and they are so good at it. They've been doing it for as long as I've known. I guess people are now bringing second-generational kids to see this. So, but we've been doing that every year, and I'm kind of ruining the day now that Kyle's 7, our youngest, that it's not going to be of interest for too much longer. Annika's past it, but she'd still tolerate it if she won't sit on my lap anymore. Darn it!
Didn't Kyle have something to say about it this time? What was his?
Oh yes, yeah. So the boy, we did our sit down picture with Santa Claus, and afterwards he tells my wife that he says, "Mom, I know that's not Santa. I know it's just a guy, but I didn't want to hurt his feelings, so I didn't say anything." Yeah, that's my boy. Yeah. I'll be at a prior Santa experience when he was about 2. I remember this. It was a mall Santa. It was before the boy was talking. He was a late talker, but an early walker, very physical. So he expressed his physicality at a Santa Claus. He walked right up to him and with full arm clothesline swings, hit Santa like 3 times in the knees. Wham, wham, wham. And then stood back to admire his work with this like hawk-like intensity.
I'm taking down Santa.
And Santa, without skipping a beat, said, I think he was a Southern Santa. He said, "Man, that boy's got some demon in him." My boy. He got cold. I couldn't help him. He couldn't write a letter, so.
He's got some demon in him.
That boy's got some demon in him. Ho, ho, ho.
Wow.
Yeah.
We just had one of our best Santa experiences. We went for the behind the scenes membership this year with the Minnesota Zoo, and you get 2 special events. And we went to Santa at the zoo, and it was the Tropics Trail after everything's closed. He was a phenomenal Santa. He was so great, and worked the kids that they felt like he knew their names before they actually told him their names. Oh. He said great things about knowing them and remembering our house from last year. And
wow.
But he was great. I mean, he was so charming, and he talked to him about just the way that I'm talking with you guys should work on listening this year. I think that would be a great thing for you. I mean, just like taught lessons while he was being Santa.
Wow.
He was so great. And then everything kind of dwindled down a little bit, and they were doing a lemur thing where they had made kid treats for the lemurs, and they went and did that. And my kids were still painting stuff, and Santa came over and talked to them again, and he was great. He was a great Santa.
Super charming.
Yeah, we had a great time.
Cool. I can't help it. I go, I know that Santa's not real. But,
what?
But oh shoot, sorry.
We're gonna have to edit that out.
Moving on.
Do I have to buy presents for my kids?
Yeah. No. No.
I hate to
Not
tell
for
you
a few
something,
years
Josh,
anyway. You'll have societal pressure to buy your baby gifts, but it's really, I don't care. But I get to the mall Santa, and I'm kind of like, Merry Christmas.
Can I have a candy cane too?
See, I'm like inspecting the suit and seeing the kind of workmanship on the suit. Like, all right, we'll see if you can overcome that.
No, I'm geeking out. I'm just like, oh, it's nice to see you.
I love it.
Send a good word in for me, the big guy.
Mm-hmm.
So
we're still building Christmas traditions. We've only been married a year and a half. And so my family doesn't really have any traditions. Like, I won't see my family on Christmas. We'll have it in like January, and they'll just be like dinner and like, yay, dinner. Mm-hmm. Growing up, my mom tried a few things. Some of them took, but not really. So it's kind of given Joy and I like this opportunity to kind of come up with our own stuff.
Let's start fresh.
Right. And so we're still playing with some things. We're really, this year and last year, we are getting into Advent.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
And we didn't do this last year, but this year I'd like to do some 12 Days of Christmas stuff. Basically, I'd like the celebration to last a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we have this cool Advent book that we read to our little baby, even though she's still in Joyce's tummy. I just read it extra loud so she can hear it.
Mm-hmm.
And the other
someday that's going to come out in therapy. You know that.
Yeah. The other tradition we have is that Joy's family, so her mom and dad and brother and sister, come over to our house Christmas morning for breakfast, and they have for the last 2 years, and they will again this year. And so we make breakfast, we exchange a couple little presents, we watch the Yule log. I try to find an interesting one every year.
Yeah,
like on Netflix or whatever.
Well, there's the original, just like YouTube always has a Yule log, and there's like the boring one that's just a Yule log. Last year we found Little Bub, who's an adorable little kitten who sits in front of the Yule log for 10 hours.
Oh wow!
This year. For
Is that
those
a
of
real
you Parks
kitten?
and Recreation
Oh,
fans,
I heard about this.
It's Nick Offerman sitting in front of the Yule log for 45 minutes with a whiskey in his hand, just staring at the camera.
Television's Ron Swanson.
Television's Ron Swanson. I'm pretty sure that's the Yule log this year.
Do you think that'll make you uncomfortable?
No more than usual.
and he's just staring. He's not.
Yeah,
Is he staring at the
doesn't say
camera?
anything.
Is he staring at the camera, like directly at you?
From
Like
what I understand, I haven't watched it yet.
into your soul.
But he doesn't say anything. He just has his drink and he's
So
in
you're
finery.
the Yule log?
No, the Yule log is over here.
You're the Yule.com.
staring at you.
I don't know why that struck me as so funny.
I don't know.
Now, that would be something. So they've got the inside of the fireplace,
Yeah.
and there's like this light shining out onto Ron Swanson's face. He's staring at you.
Wow.
Burn, Nog, burn.
Like where he can see you, but anybody else who comes into it just sees a log.
Yeah, right.
And so it's all. Now I have to write this and
Oh,
put up my own YouTube channel.
Can I ask a question?
Wow.
Yule log next
Yeah,
year.
you the Yule log.
You be the Yule log.
As a
You
guy,
the Yule log.
Oh,
On YouTube.
Yule log.
You log.
You log.
You Y-O-U log.
Yule log.
Yule log.
it's log. It's log. It's big. It's heavy. It's wood.
It's better than bad. It's good.
Everyone wants a log. Come on, I love your log. Log from Whammo.
So, as a guy who's going to have to answer this question one day, I'm curious in light of the fact that this country especially has made things very commercial and yada yada yada. We don't need to get all Linus-y here, but in light of the fact that Jesus is the reason for Christmas and that's what we want to focus on, how have you guys handled Santa with your kids? Because I remember finding out that there was no Santa, and it was super I remember before I became a Christian, I would use that as this is on par with Santa, and my parents were lying about that too. So
That's the toughest call right there, because we do raise our kids to believe in a God that we can't see, right? So when you also raise them to believe in a mythical creature that you can't see, it's difficult to not keep those on the same level of magical thinking somehow. So it's a challenge and a bit of a quandary. And I respect people who choose not to do the Santa Claus tradition, albeit I haven't been able to tear my heart away from it.
Well, I never told the kids that Santa was real.
Yep.
But with my daughter Zoe, she wholeheartedly.
There's a kid. One of your kids is sitting over in the corner here. So do we have to be careful?
Yeah.
Okay, he's fine. All right.
Well, she wholeheartedly believes in Santa, and I'm like, oh no. And it's just because of culture and all of her friends and everything. And so she was asking me about Santa and all these questions, and I was like, this just happened this weekend. We're putting up Christmas lights outside, and I'm like, well, have I ever told you that Santa was real? I just started asking her questions like, did I lead her to believe in Santa? And she was like, no. And so I'm like, well, I don't know what to because I don't know what to say, because exactly what Joshua was just speaking about. Like, I don't want her to think that I was misleading her in some way. Mm-hmm. And I don't want to just flat out say, well, there is no Santa, Zoe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But where we've come to, because we talked about a lot. Beth, my wife, kind of wanted to start out laying it out. This is not true, but this is a lot of fun to do.
Yeah.
Type of thing with the kids. But they start so young that even that concept wouldn't really click. It would actually kind of take away from everything. And so where we started was, if they ever ask, we will be truthful.
Yeah.
If they ever, even kind of a side comment, we will answer their question, and we will be honest in the way that we answer, but we'll encourage up to that point. And my kids are definitely asking things. We're kind of waiting. It could happen any day, because they're going through, is Voltron real? Or is Barbie real? Is this
the answer
real?
is yes to all of those.
And to a certain degree, that's true.
They're asking. I mean, even characters.
I hope Voltron is real.
Even characters on TV that are real people, or movies that are real people, they'll say, "Is that real? Did that thing happen?" Or did that?
See.
So that they're trying to definitely frame stuff they haven't asked this year.
Yeah.
If Santa is real, and so that's kind of where we've come at it, where we know obviously St. Nicholas is real, and we wrote a skit this year for the children's ministry at the church to talk about it, and that St. Nicholas does what he does because of his parents teaching him about Jesus, and so trying to encourage that, and then obviously the Santa Claus sprung out from who this real person was. But that's where we came to, and I think it's a decision that you guys have to make as parents, obviously.
Right.
But that's where we came to a very happy place, that if they ever ask, we'll be honest.
Yeah, that's good.
And we came from we had that discussion early on as well, that if one of our kids ever really held our feet to the fire on that we would not lie about it, and we're not going to try to perpetuate this thing as a lie, because then your integrity on all of the things does get called into question, even by very wise young little minds. But I remember the moment, it was I think 2 years ago, when Annika held our feet to the fire on Santa, and she was not going to let this go. We were driving somewhere, so I was totally captive. There was no way I could get out of the...
Hey, look at that, and run away.
Oh my, look at those pretty lights. Jingle some keys around. No, she's not like me. She doesn't get distracted. The problem with that is that her little brother was sitting in the car seat right back there, and so we're kind of cocking or stretching our necks, and we're thinking, how can we answer this and still maintain some of the fun of the whole thing for the boy? And really, what it came down to was, my answer was for her that ultimately, no, Santa Claus is not a real person, but the idea of him and the spirit of him is something that we can celebrate in the season. And so to a certain degree, the whole idea of him, of the giving and the generosity and all that, is very real. And so the imagery of him is real, and some of the mythology has become sort of Christmas belief, so to speak. He's not a real person, but we can still celebrate him and all of the things that he symbolizes wholeheartedly. And that's really how I am anyway. I mean, I really do celebrate Santa Claus, but he's not the reason for the season, and I kind of hate that cliche.
It just works, though. It rolls off the tongue.
It does. It's so catchy, darn it. But what I'm so hard to hear about is when we're watching secular movies, and let's be honest, all of our favorites are secular movies.
Die Hard, yeah.
Die Hard is such a great Christmas picture. It just really puts
3.
it right there. Nothing says Christmas like Alan Rickman in all of his roles, pretty much.
4 Christmases.
Now I have a machine gun. Ho, ho, ho.
Elf is one of the best.
Dig his heart out with a spoon. Different film. Anyway.
I have a spoon, cousin.
It would hurt while you're right. Okay. Where was I going with this? I had a point.
Christmas movies.
Oh, Christmas movies. Okay. So the message is so wishy-washy in all these things. When it comes down to it, what is the reason for the season? Well, in some films, it's family, and which is good, or it's love. Or some they just come out and say it's presents, and that to me is a real shame because we know that there's more to it than that. There's a depth to it, and there's a reason that we give presents, and there's a reason that we celebrate, and there's a reason that we light up a Christmas tree, and all those things have wonderful roots in very serious and holy and joyful symbolism. But to suss it down to jingle all the way and hope that Arnold Schwarzenegger is going to give you some sort of
which and the flip side of that is we have definitely taught them the true story, and we've taught it as truth, and they know that that's why we do that, and we do the Advent thing. From the beginning and talk through it and do the Advent calendars, which was big from Beth, coming over from England as well. It was much bigger for her. We never did it, my family, the Advent, which is funny because they still haven't quite caught that idea and that word of Advent, but they know the word elephant. So to hear them ask for their elephant calendars every morning is very interesting, but they know what Christmas is about, for sure. And I really don't think they're going to be even. I don't think it will even take them a day to react to. Oh, he's not real. We just have fun with him. I think they'll take that right in stride. I'm actually wondering if they already have. I think I have twins, a boy and a girl, and I think one of them has already figured it out. And a big hint today is we were kind of waiting for it because we heard in Sunday school today that there was a big group that was together, and one of the teachers taught these 1st through 6th graders, well, we know that Santa Claus isn't real, but St. Nicholas was a real person. Oh. Literally said that from a trusted person, and my kids have not said anything about it. So either they weren't paying attention, which is possible, but my kids actually pay attention in Sunday school pretty well.
Yes, or they do, having taught them a few years.
Yeah, they didn't quite catch it.
I was not the teacher, but I was in the room.
So you heard that. Did you catch that? Did that happen?
So okay, does this strike you guys as a little bit weird that we're actually having like some internal conflict that we would be teaching that Santa isn't real in church?
No, but you don't have to say that to a first grader.
I know. It's just I'm caught up in the quandary myself.
You don't
I didn't see any little eyes go light up or anything. Yeah. So I don't know if I don't know.
They're screaming inside.
I have no idea.
It just all the color drained from their faces and they about fell over.
A few of them passed out.
One of those moments of just heartwarming parenthood that happened recently as we were watching one of these movies, and one of those wishy-washy Christmas messages came up as the final penultimate thing. This is the reason for the season. And Kyle, is 7, dives in and says, "No, Jesus was born." Like, and I'm like, my boy.
That's why well done. The Peanuts Christmas special is still the gold standard.
It is.
Oh, it's great.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because he just walks out, reads scripture, and drops the mic.
Yeah.
That's what Christmas
pretty much
is all about.
Yep.
That's it. Done.
I thought Christmas was about beating up robbers that were trying to break into your house.
That's Red Ryder BB guns.
Yeah. Filthy animal. Yeah.
We're debating that one this year. I don't know if our kids are old enough for that one.
I got on the fence there too.
Yeah.
I
you guys
in a couple of years.
Tell me though, the Krampus is real though, right? Blank stares. Blank stares.
Yeah. I've heard that it's coming. Okay. I know nothing about it.
Okay.
Well, it's a
German tradition.
Have you guys seen Rare Exports?
No, you were telling me about it the other day.
Okay.
Does that have the Krampus in it?
Yes.
It does.
Yes.
Not just Santa.
That was my introduction to the Krampus. Was through this movie. And if you want a new Christmas tradition that'll kind of turn the whole thing on its head a little bit, it's really something. It's a Finnish movie.
Okay.
And basically
I hope it's finished.
The Krampus, it is finished. The Krampus is a Saint Nick character that instead of bringing gifts to small, good little children, would come to punish bad ones.
Yes.
And so
The Germans.
Yeah.
Imagine Germans thinking that. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So there are some archaeologists who find an entombment of rather dubious origin.
Oh.
So it's sort of Indiana Jonesy. It's sort of a kind of a creeper film. It's not a horror film in, like blood and guts, but it is really, really creepy. Just really creepy. And I shouldn't tell you anymore.
See, I think some of those Rankin and Bass stuff is creepy. I always thought of coming out of Germany was Burgermeister Meisterburger. That's bad enough.
Yeah, Bumbles bounce.
Bumbles bounce. We love Rudolph.
Yeah, we never actually got around to me with Christmas traditions. Yeah. And I'm kind of glad because I don't really have any. And this is going to sound strange, but I guess like your mom, Joshua, we tried lots of different things.
You're just like my mom.
That's not what I said. Nothing's really stuck. I mean, it's like we've done a few
Your mom
things
was
here
handsome.
and there, but nothing that's really
It's a handsome woman.
stuck throughout the years. And even like as a kid, we didn't really have any Christmas traditions. I mean, we had maybe some little things like my mom would put an apple and an orange in our stocking.
Yeah.
And so I've actually brought that forward. I usually, I'll always get an apple and an orange to throw in the stocking for the kids, but they probably don't even realize I'm doing that. That's always in there. But
do you how do you embrace the season? Because like I'm gathering from like Josh and I, we grew up in families like my mother is Christmas crazy. I mean, she sets it up before Thanksgiving. She's got a rotating tree that bends over like the Charlie Brown Christmas tree because there's so many ornaments on it. And she had to buy a spindle that would turn it 360 degrees so that you could see just the mounds
all of them
of
the
ornaments that are on it.
Wow.
And they're all handmade, and it's all everyone has a story. There's nothing that's stored. Well, I mean, there could be some that are stored on there, but so we grew up in that kind of tradition. With you guys not having grown up in that, does that affect how you embrace the season, or how do you feel about all this stuff? I mean, does it give you just the girly giggles in the morning, or you just kind of another season?
I'm still getting used to Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
Being comparatively to you fellas relatively new to the faith itself, Christmas was just a day that I got off work for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Up until very recently, Thanksgiving was always my favorite. And I actually still think Easter might be my favorite, but that's a different podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I'm still feeling it out. So the answer to that question is I don't know. But Joy's family is into Christmas. You walk into their house and you think, did I walk into a Christmas store, or am I actually at my in-laws' house? They just moved, so now we have an official number. So it's like 700 some odd Christmas DVDs, like just Christmas movies.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Like they're into Christmas.
So they have rare exports, A Christmas Tale.
I don't know if they do. Actually, as a side note, the thing that freaked me out is they have 700 whatever Christmas DVDs, and until last year, none of them had seen A Christmas Story.
Wow.
What?
That's what I said. Because
remarkable.
we went to the musical.
I sit here in stunned silence until that
We
moment.
went to the musical and we're walking out of the theater, and her mom looks at me and says, "So, I see why they did it for the musical, because it's a family musical. But in the movie, do you actually hear the dad swear, or is it just mumbles as well?" I'm like, why don't you know the answer to that question?
Yeah.
So the first time they ever saw it was on stage as a musical.
That is really interesting.
Wow. Yeah. And where was that?
I forget where they did it last year. I can't remember.
Like a community theater kind of thing?
No.
No, it's a
proper
musical.
thing?
It was a show.
Yeah.
I can't remember if it was the Guthrie or... No, it wasn't the Guthrie. It was...
No,
They're
it was like the
full.
Ordway or something like that.
Yeah, it was the Ordway.
Okay.
That's the one.
How about that?
Yeah, it's
That
okay.
is really interesting.
But, Doug, your answer to the question, sir.
What was that? I missed it. I'm
How do you
sorry.
do the transition into the season? What marks it for you?
Yeah, what is it?
Yeah.
What does the Christmas season do for you, if anything?
Well, that's a complicated question.
Mhm.
I mean, I guess as a kid, I liked Christmas because it was a time to get new toys, which usually didn't happen during the year. Just the family of more modest means, you know, growing up in a single parent family. But, so yeah, as a kid, I liked that part of it. I liked, you know, the unfortunately getting new stuff, and I liked the lights, and you know that stuff was fun. And then becoming an adult and flipping that, you know, to being the person having to do Christmas, more often than not, I find it very stressful. And it's become less so, I think, as the time has gone on. But I remember really struggling with it for many years, just going, wow, spending way too much money. Nobody cares about it anyway. It's all commercialism. Just was just very sick of it.
Yeah.
And I've kind of come to a midpoint where I really do like Christmas. I mean, I guess what you're talking about, Peter, before with the spirit of Santa Claus, the generosity and the season of giving, I think is calling to me more than anything. And one thing that I guess God has been working on me, and not to drag things down too serious we've been kind of having fun here, but I felt that God has wanted to work on generosity in myself. And I guess I've spent so much time feeling like a consumer or a need pit for so many years where I've just needed things. And so, and not necessarily physical things, but I've had to, I guess, for lack of better words, take things from people, not like stealing, but just accept things from people that it's like, I feel like God wants me to start learning how to be generous, you know, and start exporting things. And, I still don't know what that looks like or how that feels, but I'm starting to try to take steps to do that. And I mean, my father wasn't a part of my life for many years, and he's actually been back in my life the past probably 10 years. And I wouldn't consider him a religious or church-going man. But it's funny how God can speak to you even in non-Christian ways, and the generosity that my earthly father has shown me just in the past even couple of years has given me a little bit of, I think, connection to the Heavenly Father. Like, this is how it is. I mean, this is how life should be. You should be generous with your children and with other people, and you should be generous with everybody, you know, with your neighbor, and you know, going back, you know, who is my neighbor? Well, it's everybody, you know. So I guess that's a long way around to answer the question. I feel like God wants us to be generous and with, you know, time and money and love and patience. And I think that's what Christmas is about. It's showing that generosity. So when you hear about the stuff about the stupid Christmas cups, which I don't know anybody who's actually outraged by that.
Not a one.
But I'm like, that so misses the point.
Right. Misplaced outrage.
Yeah. And we should be.
You're talking Starbucks, right?
The Starbucks deal.
Craziness with that.
Like I feel as Christians, we should be the most generous, the most loving people on the planet. And I'm not necessarily talking about, you know, some weird hippie love, but we should be the example of love to the world. And what better time than Christmas to show that love. And generosity that God gives to us.
Mm-hmm. Which is it's one reason why I love A Christmas Carol. Is Dickens is my favorite, but I have a few biographies and things like that. But I had never known that he had even written a book called The Life of Our Lord, and wrote it to his kids about Jesus, and that's what we use the narration for our Christmas Eve service, is quotes or passages from The Life of Our Lord from Dickens. And Beth, my wife, a couple of years ago got me a book, about the man who saved Christmas, basically, and talked about England before he wrote A Christmas Carol, and actually his trips to Americas as well, which reemphasized the need of the message that A Christmas Carol teaches, and it's because of not only his childhood is very much a part of A Christmas Carol, but the message that people needed to hear, and he viewed it as good news to wake them up to that, and that's part of what I love about Christmas, is all of these things, whether it's Santa or the generosity and the gift giving, and we can trace it back to Esther and Purim or wherever you want to get it from. But the reality is the identity of Jesus is imprinted on this season because of the fact that we celebrate it. It's I honestly, I can dig into the history and go with the arguments and go either way about the origin of it and the date of it and all those types of things. But the reality is, this season has been set apart to celebrate the birth of Jesus Christ. And his identity flows through in ways that people who don't even recognize him as being real, which is insane, but that as a historical person, they still can't get away from the fact that you drop money into a bucket for the poor, that you sing carols which glorify who God is. That, I mean, it is absolutely, if you take a step back and you look, now, yes, we're in the West, we're in America, we're in Minnesota, but still, if you take a look around at the impact that Christmas has, it's tough to take Christ out of Christmas, to again go with another one of those things that are all over the place. But that's why I'm all in. I love every part of it, because it absolutely is a shadow of him. And it just moves him forward. And it's so easy to talk about Jesus at this time of year. It's so easy to go into it. Yeah, you got to separate out the stuff, but if I got to separate out that kind of stuff, I would much rather do it in this kind of environment, when everybody's looking up instead of looking down at the sidewalks, when people are singing together, when people travel around and get food from door to door by singing Christmas carols and doing all sorts of things. I love every part of it.
Yeah, every version of A Christmas Carol. I mean, even Scrooged, or especially Scrooged, when Scrooge makes that turn,
an epiphany at the end. It's a salvation message at the end of that.
Brings
it's
me
really
to tears
something.
every time.
And a piece that I love in that is because of how he grew up. He was obviously the right person to pen that work, but
are we talking about Dickens or Bill Murray?
We're talking about Dickens. He was the right person to pen that work, because the salvation message is in there, the treatment of fellow men, but more than anything else, and it was very cultural for its time, but today it has increased in very much the way that Jesus did it in his time, was the view of children and the value of children, and not thinking that we're not messing them up when we do things like what happens to Scrooge in the beginning, in those past scenes, but that they come to the forefront as valuable, as gifts, as young people who are getting molded into the future, and what happens there matters in the long term, and all those types of things. It goes way beyond just how we treat our fellow men. It also goes to a reawakening, which we almost take for granted now, but for sure in his time, that was groundbreaking to view a children and beating them in school or putting them into a coal mine, a factory right away. That was wrong. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's I never considered that really. That Tiny Tim's ultimate redemption was a major turning point for Scrooge in that story. That he wanted to see what would have been. He mattered, and he was the lowliest of the low. Really, I mean, he was not only a child who was at that time probably seen as less than human, but also a crippled one, which is that the politically correct term anymore? But one who had physical challenges, so it would have had even less worth in that society. So, but that was the child that got the attention of the protagonist. Yeah, it was fascinating. I never thought of that. Well, a little epiphany right here. How about that?
I don't know how to top any of that, so I just kind of want to leave that right where it is. And dudes, we need to stop.
Yeah, our time has reached its end.
Hey all, thanks again for joining us for another T.A.N.G.E.N.T.L.E.M.E.N podcast. We hope you enjoyed it as much as we enjoy putting it together. If we could encourage you to do one thing, grab a group of friends, get together, turn your brains loose, have some fun, grab a cup of coffee, and just let her rip. Hope you all have a really happy holiday, a Merry Christmas, and we'll see you on the flip.
That happened because it's Christmas Eve, I'm telling you. I'm not crazy. It's Christmas Eve. It's the one night of the year when we all act a little nicer. We smile a little easier. We share a little more. For a couple of hours out of the whole year, we are the people that we always hoped we would be. It's a miracle. It's really a sort of a miracle because it happens every Christmas Eve. And if you waste that miracle, you're going to burn for it. I know what I'm talking about. You have to do something. You have to take a chance. You do have to get involved. There are people that are having trouble making their miracle happen. There are people that don't have enough to eat. There are people that are cold. You can go out and say hello to these people. You can take an old blanket out of the closet and say, here. You can make them a sandwich and say, oh, by the way, here. I get it now. And if you give, then it can happen. Then the miracle can happen to you. It's not just the poor and the hungry. It's everybody who's got to have this miracle. And it can happen tonight for all of you. If you believe in this spirit thing, the miracle will happen, and then you'll want it to happen again tomorrow. You won't be one of these bastards who says Christmas is once a year and it's a fraud. It's not. It can happen every day. You just got to want that feeling. And if you like it and you want it, you'll get greedy for it. You'll want it every day of your life, and it can happen to you. I believe in it now. I believe it's going to happen to me now. I'm ready for it. It's great. It's a good feeling. It's really better than I felt in a long time. I'm ready. Have a Merry Christmas, everybody. Did I forget something, big man?